Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Tate, what up, boy? Welcome, everybody. Oh, she's already on. I'm so happy.
If you don't know, today we're going to be joined with my Prezi, as I like to call her. But welcome to lunch. You know,
Thank you.
I apologize. I was supposed to send you some lunch, and Uber Eats, it got a little conflicted,
I'm good. I have my coffee. I'm ready for the conversation with my boy here.
Man, everybody, welcome to the room. Miss Nicole Hercules, a legend in my eyes, but also somebody coming from Rochester, New York. And I'd love for you guys to get a little bit familiar with Nicole, but also her new leadership role as the president of the Black Soccer Coaches Advocacy Group. How you feeling?
Good, man.
Cheers.
My cup says it all,
Cheers.
man. My cup, cheers. It says it all. I'm blessed, I'm blessed. I have a great group, great people involved. Proud to have you involved, Mauricio. So it can't ever get better than it already is.
Hey, I'm a tea guy. You're a coffee one. What does that say about us?
I should not be drinking coffee. I have way too much energy, even when I'm exhausted. So I should be drinking tea.
Listen, Nicole, you're a very, very, very busy person, so I want to get right into it. When did you fall in love with football?
Oh, my gosh. I remember watching Brazil versus Italy. And that was kind of the first moment when, man, I'm telling you, and it's Brazilian football that I fell in love with. It's that creativity. Yes. It's that flair. The heavy in my backyard doing step overs and ready to break people's ankles. So as soon as I saw Ronaldo play, it was a wrap. It was over.
It was over.
Rivaldo, Cafu, all that whole squad. I mean, and then even the French team, watching Thierry Henry and Zidane, like those are my top three for that reason. My favorite three players in this game, Ronaldo, Thierry Henry, Zinedine Zidane. They made me love this game.
Did you grow up in a football family, or were you one of the first?
Track and field. I am the first in soccer. Yeah, we're fast. We're a fast family. Everyone in my family ran track. They ran D1. So luckily, I brought the speed to the field. So yeah, we're quick. We're track people. But yeah, I was the first soccer player.
Now, if people don't know, you're a legend in University of Albany. Being a prolific goal scorer, and as well as a captain and a leader. Is that where you develop your coaching and your love to giving back? Or was that earlier?
I'll tell you what, it was long before that. And I'll tell you a story and kind of how I got involved and why I knew I wanted to be in this space. And I tell this story all the time, so people are going to get sick of hearing it, but it really kind of speaks to why this work is so valuable. But when I was in high school, I was playing for the Rochester Ravens. So it was like a semi-professional team, the W League. And one of the coaches for an inner city soccer league came up to me and he said, "You need to be working with kids in the inner city. They need to see you." And I remember, I didn't know how to coach at that time, but going in and working with this group of kids, black kids, mix of kids, underserved kids. And I said to them, "I'm going to give you 2 minutes to take the ball off of my feet. And if you can't, then we're going to do the session I want to do. If you can, then we'll do what you want to do." So, after a minute and 30 seconds, they couldn't. Again, I love Brazilian soccer. So, I like to dance on the ball. So that was fun for me. But I had a moment to talk to the kids at the end of the session. And one little girl said to me, and to this day, it still kind of is something that sets a fire in me. And she asked me where I was from. And you know why she asked me that? Because black people in America don't play soccer. It lit me up so much that I was like, when I come back, when I graduate, when I'm done playing, we have to start programs that create equity where kids are seeing themselves. But they also know that there's a pathway to anything that they want to do. And for any black child who doesn't think that there's something for them to do in this world, I have a problem with it. And I will do everything that I can to make sure that we're bringing resources, access, and anything that people need. Our black kids can do whatever they want, and we have to create a pathway for them.
So important. So important. I was just speaking to Lincoln Phillips earlier, and he was giving me a story when I was 13 years old, my brother played for Lincoln at VCU. And Lincoln was a head coach at Junior Commonwealth University. And I went to visit my brother at college. I was 13 years old. And I was telling him, he remembers the story of myself being on the bench during I think a spring game. And I'm screaming at the players of what they should be doing during the game. And I was telling him, what I remember is that motivated me and gave me courage and a focus and a vision that I wanted to play college soccer. And how that probably one of the things that saved my life in terms of having the focus, having the vision, and saying that, wow, not only a Black coach, but he had players from Trinidad, Jamaica, also Africa as well, and saying that I can be that, I can do that as well. Give us a little bit about your experience at University of Albany, coming from Rochester, and how were you able to excel? I'm sure you had some challenging moments.
Well, I had a full scholarship, and I'll tell you what's funny is that my coach is one of the founding members of the United Soccer Coaches Black Soccer Coaches Association, as it was referred to then, Kenny Banda. First Black coach I've ever had. I've never had a Black coach in my life before college. Wow. But this is a guy who came to see me play, and then he sat down, and he came to my house. He sat down at my living room table. We broke bread, with the family. And, of course, he had me when he was talking about the Brazilian style that he wanted to see. I was like, I'm in. If I get to dance on a ball and score some goals, let's go. And he also brought in, other, Black and African players. So that was the first time that I played with more Black players than just myself or maybe another person. So, it was definitely a challenge. It was a pretty much, I wouldn't say brand new Division I program, but we definitely, remember in my first year, we started winning some games, and, there's articles being written, and they're like, oh my God, there's this whole resurgence, but it was a challenge because, we won some, we lost some, but it was new for us to start winning some games that program used to lose. So it was fun. And I'm really proud that I was able to do that with Kenny Banda, who's still one of my favorite mentors. I consider him family. But again, it goes to the importance and the value of what we do as coaches, is that you have these relationships with your players that are lifetime, and the relationship. And I remember him saying, and it's something that I think about now, and it's like, God, I'm doing it. But I remember him saying, when I was my junior year, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, like, what is this guy talking about? But now that when you're in a space where you really have to be, there's conversations I have to have where I'm fired up and I really want to light someone up. And I can't, I have to be really strategic with what we're saying and make sure that, exactly what it is that we need and want out of it, especially when it comes to people valuing and respecting Black people, and making people awareness of the microaggressions and the ways in which that they're complicit in the problem that we're seeing. I'm very intentional with those conversations and being uncomfortable, being comfortable being uncomfortable, like my coach said.
One of the phenomenal accomplishments and things that I really admire from you is your leadership in starting the Rochester City Soccer League. Tell us a little bit information about that, and those are one of the things that I'm hoping to put together to have that similar influence in here in New York City. But please share.
Let me tell you, that is my baby. Like, that is, and I don't think I realized how much I missed it, because it's a lot of work. Anytime you're starting a program, and I was fortunate that there was a pre-existing program before, but it fell apart because we had some really talented kids. The same program I was talking about with the little girl, who there was 14 kids who were really talented. So all the funding went into those kids, and the league fell apart. So by the time I was done with playing and things like that, I started the Rochester City Soccer League. We met with City Council, we met with City Hall, our mayor's involved in it, the local colleges are involved in it. So University of Rochester, they're part of our program. So is RIT. So we have this relationship with everyone in our community, and it's really like this labor of love of wanting to see our kids succeed. And we were waiting a while to see if Flower City Soccer was going to start back up. But in that time, there were two things that we really wanted to address. So we talk about when we're creating equity, there always has to be a need that we're identifying. So the two things that I really wanted to address was that there was a horrendous graduation rate in the city of Rochester. And what I'd learned from my girls program, because I have a high school program where we're literally combining 28 schools in the city to make one girls team. So you do the math. And it's just mainly because girls haven't had the access and the opportunity. But, we started this league, and it came to a point where we couldn't wait. We had 4 kids in the summer who were murdered. So we knew that we wanted to make sure that we had a league that kept people safe. So we have Friday Night Lights. I'm going to shout out Kim Crabb. It's an idea I took from her, where we have kids playing until midnight on Friday nights because we know that they're safe. We have some of our kids who they'll show up all day for the younger kids session because there's just an energy and a vibe when you're coming, and it's just all about the love of the game. And the other thing was, the graduation rate. So we made sure that we provided academic support, college resources, and we actually, COVID was great for us because we have some amazing partnerships for our kids on the academic end for kids as young as, 4 years old, all the way up to our 23-year-olds. So we're really excited about creating things and changing the narrative. So rather than have people talking about our Black and brown children, and even in my league, it's just underserved kids. So we have kids of all races. Our kids perform in the classroom. Once you show them that you care, you love them, and that you have expectations for them, and even if you're struggling, we're going to make sure that you have what you need to do better, they perform. I have valedictorians every year, and last year was a year where, the kids felt like they failed me because we didn't have a valedictorian, and I'm like, we could chill out. We still have kids in the top 10% of the class, chill out a little bit. But, that's just the standard that we're setting, and we're just looking forward to being able to reach some younger kids and set that precedent, and also let the families know that, we're here to be that support for you guys, and we're going to be able to help you guys reach your family goals when it comes to your kids, and just to know that we're a community program where I don't just love my players, I love their families. I'm going to players' concerts, I'm going to players, their graduations. It's one of my favorite time of the year is May, that's college time, but June when we can kind of sit down and just celebrate their successes. So the league is probably the most important thing to me. I love it so much, but it's also something that we want to be able to create across the country and across the globe.
Exactly.
Just to make sure that Black and brown kids, just like that girl who said, "Where are you from?" that she knows that she can do whatever she wants, whenever she wants, however she wants, and we're going to make sure that we're supporting and lifting each other up.
What are the struggles? Obviously it's common sense in terms of funding, but let's know a little bit about the struggles and that you have putting on that program and keeping that program afloat, and then maybe some ways somebody out here can help, or you can teach us some ways that we can work on that as well.
Well, I think having the right relationships is so important. So I'm very intentional about who I bring in. And to be honest, I turn money down. If you don't fit the mold of what we're trying to do and you're in this for the wrong reasons, I'll turn $1 billion down. I do not care. Right? It really is about our community. It really is about uplifting the youth. It really is about changing the narrative of what it is for Black and brown kids and any underserved kids, because we do have a lot of white kids and kids of all different races and many refugee families. So people want to be involved because we have talented kids, we really have, but we don't look at it that way, right? We have kids who are really good, but it's not about that for us, right? It's about all the other things that equal the playing field. So we'll have all the DA clubs and MLS Next clubs coming in, we want to do this and that, and it's go kick rocks. You're not in this for the right reasons. And I'll tell you what, we talk to our kids. So we have a youth advisory board, and we spoke to them first. So when it came to building this league, the kids literally created it with us. I asked them what they wanted, and I went after everything that they asked for. When we were going, I won a business competition too. There was this RIT business competition. I brought those kids with me. They were part of that presentation. So when you're talking about kids and empowering them, these kids now know what it takes to be a community leader, to get things started, and you can never take that away from them. The first funding that we got from City Hall, I stood up, I introduced the kids, they did the work. They got the first funding source for us. And so, of course, through the relationships, I have amazing partners in relationships. I'm born and raised in Rochester, so we have people who know me, they trust me. That's why one of the most important things is your character and who you are, and being consistent in who you are and what you do, because at the end of the day, people invest in my program. We barely played any soccer this year. I got 3 times the amount of funding, right? Because people know what we do and what we bring to our community, and they believe in it. Not only that, it feels good to be a part of it. When we have our mayor putting fields in for our refugee families so that they can feel part of our community, you get the essence of how this sport is the world's game and how it's so supportive and how our community embraces us. So I talk to many people about what it is to start a program, but it's really just being genuine and being about it. I think you have to live it, right? So I grew up a suburban Black woman, but at the end of the day, when I'm going into a room, I'm speaking on behalf of my underserved kids because I talk to them, because I know what it is. I know what their families are going through. So you won't even hear my experience coming out. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even speak for myself. I'm always speaking on behalf of our community because we have to. I can get a seat at the table. And once I have that seat at the table, I'm bringing all my kids in. They're going to have that same seat. But that's why I also believe in autonomy, because I can make all the decisions. Everything that happens with my league, if my kids come to me and they say, you know, we want this, we want to throw a tournament, go do it. You have my support. You have my resources. So it's one of those things where sometimes it gets a little crazy, though, because I know this summer we train at the stadium. So, again, talking about how just amazing our city is, like our mayor and city council and city hall and community and city rec. We train in where the old Rhino Stadium is. So that's, and it's funny.
I find that so cool. I find that so cool because the Rhino Stadium.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, because the Rochester Rhinos, you know, was such a big franchise in the A-League, and then, you know, as a person playing pro, you know, we always said we wanted to go play in that Rochester Stadium. If your kids be able to play in the stadium, it's so impactful. But please tell us about that.
So, Mauricio, I had that as my screensaver probably right after when I was still playing, and I said, my league is going to train out of this place. So sometimes I think people think that, like, when I say some grandiose things that I don't mean it. Like, I mean it, and we will do it. So sometimes I'm like, we're going to create this ecosystem. We're going to have $1 million and this and that. And I know people are like, okay, yeah, we'll see it. I mean it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. It may take a long time, but it's going to happen. So, and part of that is it's so important, the belief in what you have, because the potential of what you can create when you truly believe in something that most cynical people won't see, you're able to make some things happen. So, again, I had that the stadium as my screensaver for the longest time, and I was like, I'm going to run my league out of that place. And the thing I love about it is that I have players who remember me saying that, and now they're just like, damn, coach was not playing around. Like, we're traded out of the stadium. Mauricio, this summer was fun, though, because we've been able to do so much with our league that when we're talking about equal in the playing field, my best friend is my VP, and we played soccer together. And she's actually from Calcutta. She was in the orphanage that Mother Teresa was in. And I remember looking at her as we were talking about creating this experience for kids that's better than anything that anyone else has, but it's free. So I was like, this summer, you know, we offered, you know, free training out of the stadium. You know, we had music, we had lights. Here's the other thing that's dope when you have ownership. I'm West Indian, right? We're from the islands. My parents are originally from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I only play soccer and Afro beats. You know, so we have all these different races of people, but I can do what I want. You know, so
same drum.
You know,
that's dope.
And then
that's
you have,
dope.
and I love what I'm seeing. Our white kids dancing with the black kids, and they're playing, and it's just, they're having a great time, and it's a vibe. And then in the stadium seats, you have all the parents coming together, watching, having fun. So it's literally just an experience. To the point where, but it's also a problem, right? Because you have now these suburban parents coming, and they're like, "This is free."
Yeah, how come I
got a Trinidad and Tobago national team player as an assistant coach. You know, I got the assistant University of Rochester coach as one of our coaches. So we have fun training sessions, but we hit that technical stuff. But the environment and the vibe, we have the best training set the training environment to training. So I know people are like, we're paying $3,000 out here, these kids in the city. So there are people who are trying to come in and try to mimic what we do.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about it is that the city's been invested in it, right? So for years when I was having these meetings, and I remember I was on this call with this guy who's like, oh, we want to create the elite level of what you're doing. So this is one of these moments, Mauricio, where I had to pray. I'm having a conversation with this guy, and I'm like, let me pray I don't say or do something dumb, you know? So I'm literally praying, because he's now calling my contacts, people I have year-long relationship with. You know, my family, fortunately, are very similar. We're their community leaders, and they're very well-known and respected. So I also have that. I try not to say my last name, but, you know, it's one of those things. But we've built this relationship in our community where I had to chill for a little bit, because this guy literally had me, you know, I was irritated that someone saw what we were doing, and he's like, these inner city kids have this. I want to create this, and I want to take this idea and do something different with it, because it's just that entitlement that you see all the time. But the most beautiful thing happened on that call, and I almost forgot, because sometimes when you're kind of in the trenches and you're building things, you forget that you're not in there building yourself. So I'm listening to the commissioner whose kids play in the league, and the deputy commissioner, and him sounding like me, right? And everyone from the city sounding like me. They're invested in it. Our success is their success. So when we say community first, I'm not just playing around with that. If I say something, I mean it. It's literally about our community. And our city has not only bought into it, they were with me at the start. So I remember after that call, I had to call a lot of the guys that I was, you know, I originally had those meetings with, where we're like, this is what it's going to be. And I called them after. I was like, I forgot, this is yours too. I had to tell you, I was like, I tend to think it's, it's myself and my board members who kind of been hustling, but they have fought for this and gotten us anything we need. We don't pay a cent for a permit.
Nice.
We have amazing sponsors because the Rhinos aren't around anymore. Like a lot of the sponsors that would have sponsored the Rhinos sponsor us. And I mean, Soccer Sam, I'm always going to shout him out. Donuts Delight. Have you ever seen the Dr. Fauci donut that everyone heard about?
Yes.
They were that's one of our sponsors. Yeah, that's one of our sponsors.
Okay.
Donuts Delight.
Okay.
Shout out to them. So one of our sponsors. But again, these are sponsors who are about that work in the community. If people can't buy into what it is to give back and to be a part of that full circle of, our players are empowered, but in some spaces they're underserved, to, our sponsors who really want to give kids an opportunity. And even when we're not playing, they're giving more money. You know what I mean? So it's sponsors who believe in what it is, especially in a time when we know that this game saves lives. So I have an issue when we see these very generic inner city programs, because, I mean, the DC coaches yesterday, lost a player. Like, we have players who die. It's life and death. So it's not a joke, especially like Black History Month. We're seeing all these really cliche, fake, disingenuous posts about, supporting Black people. But it's like, are you in the trenches when there are kids who are struggling? Do you know the look of a kid when the light isn't in their eyes anymore because they lost a sense of hope? That's why we do this. This is what it's about. It's more than just putting a picture up and saying, we're unified with you. I'm like, are you? When we have kids getting shot, when we have kids who are seeing things that they don't need to see, when we have kids who don't have access and resources to things, are you out there helping us with that? Don't come with the nonsense this year. We're not dealing with that nonsense. And I'm actually glad you're going to be on the advocacy call with me tomorrow, because there's just stuff that, in the most loving way, and I always do it with love. For me, I'm going to speak truth, but it's going to be with love and hope and faith, because you want to make sure that the people that you're having these conversations with know that at the end of the day, it's about having harmonious relationships. It's about building bridges. So I may take the gloves off and love tap somebody, but at the end of the day, it's because I know that we can build something that's special for all kids. And what I won't allow happen is for anyone to ever disrespect the Black population, to ever dismiss the Black population, to ever hijack Black History Month like it was. But it's also helped us to recognize that all year round is Black History Month. We're going to celebrate that all the time. We're going to talk about the amazing things. But part of it is calling people out.
For me as a company, I don't feel comfortable promoting Black History Month, because I believe that that narrative has to change, right? Because Black history, especially African-American history, is American history. So it pisses me off to say, this month we're going to highlight this person, and then next month we don't highlight that person. It just shouldn't be that way.
And it's a wrap.
So I feel I have to be real. And people say, how can we have a Black History sale? I said, that's not what we're about. We're about that history as whole, as a Black history. We've been running end racism and talking about the adversity that we have to face in soccer, on and off the field, since the start of our company. And to highlight that, and I understand that we have to start somewhere, but I just think that it's kind of disrespectful. But I want to get into you becoming the president of the Advocacy, Black Soccer Coaches Advocacy Group, and how that came along. Obviously, you're the reason why I became a member for many years. I have to keep it real, and I looked at it as a group that it really, I would say it was a joke, but I didn't think it really made an impact and kind of and had a value. And I looked at it and pointed fingers, and then I realized when after I have relationships with you, and then you expressed to me you were going to take it over, that I thought to myself, I have to help this I would say young lady, this proud Hall of Famer, incredible woman, that I feel that it will be a great leader. And also, we got to stop being on the outside pointing fingers, and it's best to be on the inside to really make a difference if we have a problem with the group. What made you decide to take on that position, and who influenced you?
I didn't want to, right? I was in the vice chair position going back to Daniel Gordon. And he was kind of the first one who was like, if there's a first female chair, it's going to be you. And I remember thinking, because I was the sounding board, so I would get the calls when all the madness happens, right? The stuff that our leadership team will never hear about because we kind of take care of it on the back end. So I just remember all the craziness and thinking, there's no way that anyone should ever want to do this role. It's thankless. You know, it's hours on hours. It's very important. And like you said, people didn't buy into it. Do you know how many people say that to me where they're like, man, we didn't buy into this, but now we're in. And I think it's very important. One, you have to have tough skin, right? And then I remember through Kendall. Kendall was the one who, his entire 2 terms, he's like, you're next, until I finally.
He saw it.
I remember asking them. I finally remembered asking them why. I'm like, why me? Why do you want me to do it? And Mrs. Yoder actually said it. She's like, because you can see the forest for the trees. And I thought about it, and I spent probably 2 years watching, and I saw people who use positions, and I probably should explain why I always say community first, but why I also talk about the importance of how we build this, and that it can't be for self-promotion, and why it can't be for greed or individualism, is because of that. Like, that's why I say that. And sometimes I don't explain things, but because people have used the position for themselves, and they haven't used it to literally transform environments that oppress and suppress our people in a way where, for me, when I'm done, I have to know that I've moved the needle. I'm trying to spin that thing all the way around, you know? Yeah. So having a good team of people I trust, like yourself, and, you know, I'm very intentional about that with the people. I've been watching people for years. Like, I know Mario's on and some different people. There are people who I asked to join because I know their heart and their intentions are pure with wanting to build something that next generations of kids won't even know the struggles that have happened in past years because of the work that we've done. So it's not easy. It's challenging, but I wouldn't want to do anything else because I believe that, again, when I'm not doing this in my league, it's very similar. It's always about equity and equaling the playing field. And I truly believe that we can come together as a collective and collaborate on opportunities that allow our kids to just thrive in life and in the sport. So it's always about that work, and it's always about that energy, and it's always about us it's a conversation I have to gently have with even people within our group, is that you don't devalue our group based on the social norms and stereotypes that are out there. Our group is intelligent. Our group has a bunch of leaders. Our group is powerful. Our group is phenomenal right now. We may not be getting opportunities with some head coaching positions and things like that, no matter how much work we did last year. But we have to value and love our community in a way where we're lifting each other up, but we also know that we are that group. All right. We are trendsetters. We get things done. People copy us. People always say, what is it? Intimidation is the highest compliment. I don't buy that. I think that was a copycat that made that happen. He's like, I'm going to say that so that I can go around copying people. But it happens, you know, because I think the fire and the passion and what we want to do and how we want to create it, and we're innovators. And we're self-starters, a bunch of entrepreneurs like yourself. You know, you started footballer. And we're going to create some things where we're going to come together and be able to reinvest funding back into our community. It's always about that. Wealth gap bothers me too. I think about the work that I look back at, like Lincoln, you know, and the fact that, and this is also why I love United Soccer Coaches. Let me give United Soccer Coaches a shout out. When Black coaches didn't have a place to come together and to talk about their challenges. And it was one year. I know it was Lincoln Phillips was there. My coach, Kelly Kenny-Bonnet, was there. Kaba Kim, who's in our group, was there. Keith Tucker was there. I want to say Sam Akpota was. Hugh Menzies and Lauren Donaldson. They were all there that first year and started. So it's a lot of West Indian people, but they were all there that first year. And, of course, Lincoln, you know, he had a relationship with people and got it started and things like that. But United Soccer Coaches gave Black coaches a place where they can have a platform, where they can have some power. So although I'm the chair, when you call me president, it's funny to me because Lincoln does too, and that's what the title was then. So you were like, does that bother you? And I'm like, nah, Lincoln calls me that too, so it doesn't. But that was the title, you know, back when it was the Black Soccer Coaches Association. And, you know, Lincoln to this day has an amazing relationship with the CEO, Lynn. From back in the day. And I always have to give credit from United Soccer Coaches because the U.S. Soccer Federation wasn't giving us that push. They weren't supporting Black coaches so they can come together and have a place to kind of just to be powerful and to come together with a think tank. So I'm sorry, I'm reading some of these things. I love the Black culture comments here, but it's just important that
you know, when we talk about trust, a lot of coaches do not trust the the advocacy group. And I'm glad you spoke about United Soccer Coach Association and that relationship and how do we change that, right? Because again, there's so many coaches even here who I respect, but they're not members and they don't feel like they need to be members. But we need to get them involved. We need to get them included to build up our strength and to kind of execute the plans that you and our leadership group have. What would you say to them, speaking to them directly? What would you tell them in terms of them to feel like they need to be a part of it?
They can watch and they can see, and they can come on later if they need to, but they can watch. You know, they're going to be able to see what we're building. But it's so important. It's not even about the coaches as individuals. Look at your Black players. Look at your teams. Look at the experiences that coaches and people at the front office are receiving. And then think about how powerful it would be when we can come to get together to create our own opportunities. We're talking about autonomy here. We're talking about being able to redistribute wealth into our own communities. So bringing in those coaches to be a part of that, where we can do coaching education through United Soccer Coaches. Because again, the conversations I have with them, you guys will never be privy of, you know, some of the tough conversations we have. Sometimes it gets a little interesting, but at the end of the day, this is a group that supports us. This is a group that is doing everything that they can to lift us up. And it's an ongoing dialogue, right? So what I say to those people is that's fine. Trust is earned and you'll trust us. You'll learn because that's how we build our team. And we're a family. It's a family dynamic with those we're building with. And I'm okay with us building with a small group, but we will build something that you will want to be a part of. Right. And then by the time that happens, it'll be too late. No, I'm kidding. but that's a part of it, right? Because it is very true. There are a lot of people who just started back in because they didn't think we got anything done. So sometimes that is a part of it, right? And I'm okay with that. You may have to watch and see what we do so that you know that we're serious. That's okay. You're going to want to join though. People are going to want to join. The energy is great. The atmosphere is great. And we're going to build some stuff. It's going to be hard work. You're going to have to roll your sleeves up and get some stuff done. It may not be that hard. We'll see. But people are going to want to be a part of what we build.
How did you feel being the host of the convention this year? I mean, you were on the studio spotlight, and I think you did an amazing job, but I'm sure it's something that was maybe new to you. How did you feel, and what did you do about that opportunity?
I told Dean Linky, because I'll tell you what, it is, I love it, but it's work, right? Because it's one thing when you know the topic, but when you have different sessions that you're like, okay, well, I don't know much about this, but you still have to provide color commentary. So just so you guys know, there are different sets set up. We have Dean got a teleprompter. He was lucky. The rest of us kind of just have, the words that we wanted to say or whatever. But it was fun, man. And of course I was there with Julio, who's my guy from the Latino chair. So there's a lot of collaborations that we'll have with that group. Dean Linky, who's amazing, who I have to say to him, I had a conversation about Black Lives Matter, and he on his own kept that conversation going. Every podcast he addressed it, every single one. And it's something that and I have to also say Jeff Van Dusen, who runs the entire convention. There's a reason why you saw more Black faces. I mean, I had a call with Jeff, and he's just like, we got to do better. And he kept his word. He's like, he's like, it's, it was a family goal of his to just be a better advocate and ally to Black coaches and to Black people. So the support that you'll start seeing from our group, there's going to be stuff that we ask for that it's going to happen. But it's one of those things. It was fun to make that. It was so much fun, and I'm looking forward to doing more. I'm looking forward to next year. I'm just going to get better and better at it, Mauricio. I'm going to have to work at it. You have to work at it.
When you start your TV show, let me produce it, please. I'm putting the word in now. But,
oh my gosh, I'll need help.
Tell us what Kim Crabb means to you.
Oh my God. The thing with Kim Crabb is that not only is she the first African-American woman to play on the U.S. national team, she's just a damn good friend, right? There's times when I just have to call Kim because her energy is just very consistent. It's powerful. Loyal. And so she's one of the most loyal and trustworthy people you will ever meet, right? So it's there's times when I just give Kim a call and because I probably do some of my best work at 2 and 3 in the morning, and I always know Kim's up. So there's times when I'm like, you up? So it's just funny. So we'll just have these these chats, and she's big on inner city work. So we have these conversations about our players, you know, and it's part of what I'm going to do too, is she's building, and I actually want to shout it out. She has her soccer program, and people need to invest in what she's doing. First of all, as a pioneer in this game, the work that she's done, who she is as a human being, what she represents for all of us, the excellent. She was just on Man in Blazers, was it a couple days ago? And I mean, It was so amazing. You can feel the passion that comes off of her. And talking about the autonomy of our group, like, so a lot of us will travel and do each other's camps and things like that. So Sully Hamid's Pat Camp, that's in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I was watching Kim Crabb's session 2 summers ago. As a coach, like, there's a reason why her kids can ball. I mean, I was watching her do a session with like under 8-year-olds. She was doing like shape. She was doing defensive shape with them. She did this other session with like just 1v1. And, you know, we have like top coaches there, and I did not want to leave Kim's session because it was so fun. Wow. She had these kids, like, you should have seen how she had these kids perform it. I'm just like, she needs to have more recognition for the work she's doing in her community. She doesn't, you know, she's not really getting paid like that. I wish she can make $1 million doing what she does, because I truly believe that people who care, you know, just should get the world. And she's one of those people who, not only is she phenomenal and is she a pioneer and is she a legend, but she's just one of the best human beings. I love that lady immensely. That's the sis. That's the big sis right there.
Big up Kim Crabb. Was it Wilmington Hammerheads?
Yep.
She does a community program out of there for many years. And again, she's a pioneer, somebody we salute, not just in the month of February, but every month. All right. But again, I know how busy you are, and I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. Before we leave here, though, please give us the immediate goals that we have for the Black Soccer Advocacy Group and moving forward.
Well, I think that first step is that we want people to join our regional and international calls. You know, we just had a call with the coaches in the UK. So we have the Black and Asian Coaches Association from the UK, who we're going to be doing some collaborations for. I had a call with Hugh Menzies and a couple of the Caribbean coaches, so we'll be expanding into there. So for anybody who wants to be involved with the landscape of our Black ecosystem, and I'll tell you what it's made of, is, you know, we have, you know, a college mentorship program with all the top college coaches on the women's side. We're working on it on the men's side. So we're going to be able to give young coaches who are coming up direct access to top coaches who can then become references for these kids as they're coming through the ranks and they want to have an assistant coaching position or a head coaching position. They'll have built those relationships and they'll have a network. We'll also be able to, I'm drawing a blank on, I'll come back to that one. I'm drawing a blank on one of them. We also have an urban program where we have the urban diploma course that JT Dorsey is working on. And it's a combination of United Soccer Coaches and U.S. Soccer Foundation. But that's something that we intend on bringing directly to our communities for that education, along with other coaching education. We want to do all Black regional coaching sessions to be able to make sure that our coaches are getting the coaching licenses that they need, so that we'll be a little bit more intentional about keeping track. Like even last night, we're building a repository with all the information for the coaches that we have and what they're going to need for them to be successful. We also have, you know, our youth landscape, making sure we're coming together for clinics and showcases, and we're bringing opportunities to these kids that we wouldn't otherwise have. Bringing powerhouse coaches so they get experience from different coaches. Bringing in celebrity players who have played before that look like them, so that they can learn from those who have gone before them. Also, we have our advocacy resources where we're talking about our professional development. That I see Rob Smith's on here, so let me shout out Rob Smith and Mike Curry.
Big up Rob Smith.
Our big corporation guys who have done so much for the labor of love of our community, and I appreciate them because they're kind of like those elder statesmen who are like, we know what it is, and we're just a resource to make sure that our coaches are going to be successful. So they put together this professional development course, and actually you were a part of a couple of the sessions, Mauricio, but we're looking forward to getting that. Big up Mike Curry as well, and the whole SD Delco. Even though I'm from New York, I don't like them, but I do love them. Hated them. Oh, they were good.
Listen, Benigno has a question. Does the government provide grants for programs like that? Similar to yours and Kim.
Yes. So for me, I normally have state grants through the city. But if you think about what like United Soccer Foundation does, they do a lot of stuff with government grants. So every year they have a Hill Day where they go to Capitol Hill and they're actually talking about making sure that there are federal grants for programs for health and wellness and things like that for kids. So yes, there are. And I think we also have to make sure that on these regional calls, we're getting the word out on how people can get funding from some of these sources.
Definitely, man. I want to say thank you to Drake Hill Soccer, Rob Smith, Kimberly Crabb, Coach Kareem, Bino, Tyler Hill, Mr. Julius James, Anthony Wallace, Mr. Footballer.
We have the New Jersey Teamsters, man. I got to shout out the Black-owned program,
yes.
new program, Black-owned New Jersey Teamsters. We're looking forward to having some dialogue with you guys. Just know we're supporting you. I love seeing Black-owned businesses. I love what you guys are doing, and I look forward to connecting with y'all.
Definitely. So everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you for lunch with the great Nicole Hercules. And
Fabrizio, hang on. We gotta thank you because you kind of do work on the humble side, but I really appreciate the time that you put into doing this work with the Black soccer coaches, the work you've done for years on anti-racism, what you're doing on the crack, the support that you're giving current or former national team players. You do a lot of work that people don't know about behind the scenes. You're always traveling the world, but you're always doing good. So respect to you. Please continue that. That's why people buy into what we're doing, is because of people like you, because we have good people who are with us. So thank you.
Much love, much love. And to everybody out there, make sure you go follow Black soccer coaches and continue to support. And, look forward to speaking to you tomorrow and and working alongside you. All right, guys? So everybody enjoy your day. We have some games coming up today, the FA Cup. So make sure you tune in and always support Football and Clothing. Much love.
Take care, guys. Love you.
Bye, Nicole.